If you see the results of elections in all Western countries, you will see a growing political polarization between rural and urban areas. So Eurofound research wanted to shed light on this, why this is happening. And for this we investigated economic inequalities between rural and urban, as well as social inequalities like employment. But then we also wonder, there is something more. And so we investigated the so-called recognition gap, how people feel to be valued and perceived by others and the governments. And these brought incredible insights that shed lights on urban and rural inequalities. The median income in urban areas is around 18,500 euros, while in rural areas is just above 17,000. And this has increased of around 20% in the last decade. Similarly, in urban areas there is a higher labor market participation, and 76% is the employment rate in urban areas, while it's just on 74% for rural communities. And these are just two indicators. There are quite more indication of this increasing gap. There are more needs, young people not in employment, education and training in rural areas, while in urban areas there is a very higher share of people with a tertiary educational level. So all these indicate of a growing gap between rural and urban communities, both in economic and social dimensions. There are big differences on how public services are delivered among rural and urban communities. And of course, these two areas face different challenges. In urban areas, there is a growing number of individuals that ask for services, and then the services could struggle in deliver all these numbers. On the other hand, in rural areas, there are other problems that are, for example, reaching the services because there are distance to be covered by citizens in order to reach the service. And then the issue of quality that usually was found higher a bit in urban areas. So we needed to address this issue also using innovative tools like digitalization that permit to deliver services by addressing the issue of distance, for example, and this is very important, for example, in healthcare. The recognition gap is the experience of the citizens that does not feel to be recognized for its value in certain contexts, for example, by others or by the state. This brings a very strong feeling of frustration and disengagement. Recently there has been an increase of the recognition gap because rural and urban areas go in different directions. Urban areas are more cosmopolitan or provide these more progressive point of views, while rural areas are more linked to traditional values. This has brought an increase of the recognition gap that led and leads a lot of frustration in rural citizens. So it is important actually to address this, and this can be addressed through designing place-based policies, for example, where the instances of the rural citizens are listened and then implemented. The broader implication of the findings of this research is that there is a strong gap between rural and urban areas, and this is increasing and becoming alarming. It is important to reflect that the gap is not only related to economic and social performance, but that there is something more. There is this recognition part that indicates cultural differences between the two areas. So it is important to address these inequalities. How we can do it, actually? By designing policies, place-based policies, by listening to rural citizens and understanding their instances in order to address, with the help of those who live in the local areas, the issues, and therefore addressing rural and urban gaps.